Thanks for joining the HomeMatters podcast with Eric and Gena Boggs, where they lead authentic, raw discussions about marriage, family life, kids, intimacy, and sex from a biblical perspective. Now here's your host, Eric and Gena Boggs.
Welcome to
episode 2.
Number 2, HomeMatters.
That's right.
Podcast number 2.
We're excited. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
That you're joining us today. And I know that some of you may catch the video, but
that's right.
See my pretty wife if you do that. But
oh, sweet.
Yep. Try to be sometime. If I can make sure that I keep things straightened out, you know.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this week, here's our topic. Why the dive? Yeah, the D-I-V. Why the dive? What's that got to do with home and family and all that stuff?
Yeah, we talked at the end last time about the fact that a lot of times after the I do's, it seems like when, you know, a lot of couples see that as the pinnacle or the peak of their marriage, and from there it's kind of downhill.
Honeymoon?
Yeah, and that's sad that, you know, we see that happen, we allow it to happen, and anybody has to experience that.
That's right. Sometimes it's a little further in. I think for us it was about year 3. Yeah.
Oh, it started way before that, though.
Yeah, it started before that.
Yeah. It was our toughest year as far as getting past it, but again, looking back, you know, it started earlier than that.
And that's what usually happens, too. We kind of start that dive, as we're
drift
calling it.
Is what we called it before, the slide.
We've called it that before. We kind of start that drift, and then before you know it, we're in a place, and we're like,
how did this happen?
Yeah, how did we get here?
Yeah.
So, man, we don't want you to experience that. You don't have to.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, you know, I think that you have to just look at where you're at, and kind of do that evaluation thing.
That's
and that
right.
self-evaluation. And
ask yourself. We don't like to ask ourselves
all that
questions.
Self-awareness stuff, you know, that socio kind of stuff. And we don't like that, but that's a reality that we have to do.
We like to ask others questions and talk about others' problems. But sometimes, especially in marriage, I think we have to be willing to ask the hard questions of ourselves. You know, man, as in love as you
what's the
ever
love
have
level?
been.
Yeah,
that's right.
Are you just as crazy about each other as you once were?
I mean, is that even possible, though, like to get more crazy about each other?
I know that, you know, most couples, when they're in that engagement stage, you know, they've fallen in love, they're crazy about each other, and you know, they think that is something that's impossible to attain or to have after.
Yeah.
And again, I think that we need to celebrate and try to provoke people to know that is possible.
Yeah, even after 35, almost 36 years.
I tell people all the time, I'm more in love with her now than I was the day I married her, and more excited about being with her now than I was when I married her. And
that's a good thing.
And again, I think that I don't think that's something that's just magical because of
magical bubble.
I don't think that's something that's just magical because of us.
No.
And it's probably because I'm such a great husband. That's part of it.
That's probably it. I'm sure that's it.
You know, it's just the reality that we've been very intentional about things, and
that's the word right there.
Yeah, and with that, I think a lot of times couples think, well, I don't want to have to make it happen, or I want it to be more organic, or I want it to be more natural, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think I think it becomes your nature if you're intentional about some things.
That's right.
Kind of like muscle memory, right?
Oh, yeah. You know a lot about muscle memory too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Just many muscles, you know.
I know. Well, I just started a workout program last night, so just give me a little bit of time and I can talk about that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, it's in everybody's marriage relationship, especially when we look at it and we find that, you know, we're not enjoying life. We're not enjoying the journey. We're not enjoying marriage.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean everything about your marriage or family that you're going to enjoy. They're absolutely sometimes you're not going to enjoy. But even in that, I think we can find the good in marriage. We can find those just those things that hold us together. Yeah. That companionship, even in the hard times.
You remember the guy in The Water Boy?
The Water Boy? Yeah.
Yeah, the fan on the. He said, "Oh no, we suck again." You don't have to hit those places. We just that's the
suck at marriage.
Yeah, you don't have to suck all the time.
Okay, that's great.
But again, I think that sometimes couples live in that place though that they think that's just the norm. That the slide or the drift is just the norm.
Well, that's kind of what a lot of people make you think. Eric and I always tell people, whether it's in our Marriage Matters getaways or in teaching, that we believe the world today needs some champions for marriage, some people that, that others can look at your life and say, hey, I want a marriage like theirs. We pray that that's the kind of marriage that we have, that others could desire that. And that can be any of you that are listening today. You can have that kind of marriage. You can have that kind of relationship, but it doesn't just happen, right? There is that drift. There is that slide. And so we have to do things to help make sure that we keep it what God intends it to be.
Yeah. And with that, you say, well, how does that happen? And I think that, there's probably a full list that we could create, but
oh yeah,
just some of the thoughts that we have that we've seen or experienced in our own life or actually seen in others as well. I think that you could throw out a list, and the top of the list, I think, with most everybody in our day and time is busyness.
Oh yeah.
That people just get so busy with.
That's right.
Especially in young couples, they're starting out, and a lot of times they're trying to figure out, careers or what we're going to do, or and it can happen with anybody. You've got this place that you move into marriage, and the I do's and honeymoon's over, and then you get real life.
Then you got to go to work.
Yeah, and you got all kinds of things, hobbies.
That's right. And just figuring out life, and the roles as the husband role and the wife role, just figuring those things out. And I mean, you got a home to take care of, right? Yeah. Grass to cut, clothes to wash, dishes to wash.
And then those little things called kids come along.
Those little blessings from heaven.
And they demand time and attention
and more time and more attention.
Yeah, and that all of a sudden you fail to realize that, you were you married the love of your life, and now you're too busy to even take a night out or take a 5-minute break just for you. And again, there's just so much that in our society that demands busyness. And we say this all the time. It's almost like people wear that as a badge of honor.
I think so, yeah.
Busyness
in society today. It's like we compare our calendars and we compare our schedules, and if you're not busy, then you must not really have a life, right?
I tell our guys sometimes, I dare you, when people start asking you how you doing or how's it going, I dare you to start saying, man, I'm just chilled. It's not real busy, not a lot to do.
Because that's not the normal answer.
That is not the answer, man.
No,
man, I'm wide open.
I'm busy, or I'm so tired.
I'm tired, man. I'm wore out.
Yeah.
Again, if that's the case, and I know people they are busy. There's a lot of things nowadays that demand their times. I mean, we got to keep up with Facebook, and we got to keep up with,
I don't know.
Instagram, and I mean, it takes a lot of time.
Keep your social media up to date.
No, right? I mean, I've always said, where did all our time go? We got microwaves and washing machines and all these things that save time and generations before us.
Busy.
But man, we're busier than we've ever been.
Well, it's more. It's like more. There's more to do. Even money pressures. There's more. We need to attain more income. They're back to the jobs and the careers so that we can have more stuff. And sometimes what we like to call it is just the cycle of more. It's just more. And you can get caught in that cycle. And it just eats up your time and into any time that you would have to be intentional about your marriage relationship.
Yeah, that ring made a noise in my ears there when you hit it on the table,
I'm sorry, that bothered you?
Sensitive mic. We don't know how to slow down a lot of times. What in the scripture calls a Sabbath, we don't know how to pull away, and
that's right.
As far as find rest, and that's needed in our homes. That's needed as a couple. That's needed with our families.
That's right. Even with our kids, man. We have kids now whose schedules are just ridiculous. When they're 7, 8, 10 years old. And, man, we're just teaching them that busy lifestyle all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to be lazy, right?
No.
Flip side.
No.
You do need to go to work. You do need to be involved in community. You need to be involved in your church.
Yep. But I'm the kind that always, I feel like if there's nothing to do, I've had to work at that. I feel like I got to find something to do.
Yeah, he does.
That
sit still.
has not always been a friend. So again, we always had that little bit of time at night. Most everybody does when they get home and they can sit down a few minutes, but that doesn't last long.
No.
There's that button in my chair.
Yeah, and then you're like,
I think the button's in my butt that when I sit down, as soon as the button's mashed, my eyes close. So,
okay,
may need
keep
to edit
moving.
that out, but
okay, keep moving.
people know what I'm talking about. They sit down and immediately.
Well, you've been going so hard all day once you sit down.
And start to go to
and
sleep.
then, you go to bed at night or you go to sleep at night and you really haven't taken any time as a couple. You haven't invested in your relationship. There's been no communication. There's been no romance. There's been no physical interaction. Very little conversation other than, what time you be here, I got this appointment, pick up the kids. And so that busyness just kind of eats into our relationship, and that causes that dive or that drift, as we say.
Other things that we kind of looked at as far as things that cause the dive is familiarity. You kind of get used to each other.
That's right.
And what you once held in high value is just common now. It's just my wife instead of, the love of my life, instead of the apple of my eye. She's just in my eye now. And, that's kind of stuff that everybody deals with, right?
So true. I mean, we should value, we should honor, the gift of God to our life.
Yeah.
The love of our life, as Eric said. And it's so easy to take that for granted. Now, there are some things in your relationship you should be able to take for granted. I take for granted that he is faithful to me. I take for granted that he loves me, that he's going to give himself for me.
Shouldn't have to be guessing on that, right?
No, and neither me. That I honor him, that I support him, that I'm his biggest cheerleader. Those are things that we should be able to take for granted, but just the value of that person that God has given you.
And I think that's more our own attitude toward our spouse or other relationships even, that it's our attitude that we just take them for granted. It's not that we can't trust them or that they can't be depended on. But it's more the thing that we just, our perspective or our attitude, our perception is just one that is not held as high as we should, or as high even as it once was.
Yeah, and in the day-to-day, I think that comes across when we just forget the little things like thank you or I appreciate you, or, if he's cut the grass, hey, the yard looks amazing. Just those little things, that shows appreciation, and that, hey, I'm not taking you for granted. I appreciate that you're here, appreciate your love, your leadership in our home. Man, don't take those things for granted.
Yeah. Better hurry along. What's the other things we talked about?
What about unmet expectations? That just distorted ideals of what we came into marriage thinking that it would be, kind of that rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, there's an assessment that we use, that I use in premarital counseling, that one of the places that it places a value on is idealistic distortion. That's the term that it uses. But really what it means is you can have a distorted view of what's coming.
Yeah.
And you're looking at everything through rose-colored glasses. And sometimes, I know in marriage, sometimes we can have these expectations, and when they're not met, that's when the trouble kind of hits home.
Yeah, and, we are not perfect people. I know you think you married the perfect person, and I did marry the perfect person. Close. But, none of us are perfect. We're going to make mistakes, and we are going to disappoint our spouse over and over again. I mean, it's life, okay? But when we live in those disappointments and we allow those just to reign in our heart, and we concentrate more, we just get that in our mind and we concentrate more on the negative.
We cannot allow the disappointments to rule our life.
That's right. And
to rule our attitudes and our mindsets toward each other. We cannot allow that. And again, everybody's going to have places where we're disappointed.
That's
or
right.
Our expectations are not going to be met. And
so true.
The fact is we cannot concentrate and live our lives always focused on what's not right or what's not good or what, he hasn't done or she hasn't done or she hadn't met.
So true.
The high expectations are the demands. We talk about
demands.
that a lot in our own marriage. The things that I think that you can put demands on that are maybe not realistic.
Yeah.
Or even things that may be realistic, but why do we have those standards that are so high that they're always, that somebody's always missing the bar, that they're always
Man, what you think on is so important. And if you constantly, if that's all that fills your mind is the disappointments, the things, the expectations that haven't met, then we just begin to live with that kind of attitude all the time. And it changes everything about your perception of even your relationship and the person that you're married to. So you can't live there all the time.
Yeah, and we're talking about the slide or the dive, where, you just got this kind of drift going on. We're saying, hey, maybe you need to just wake up and realize maybe you just lived in disappointment for too long. Yeah. Or maybe because something wasn't done that you thought should have been done, your expectations were not.
Maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, you may just need to go back and say, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah, let
it's
it
all
go.
Right. And I'm going to do everything that I know to do to nurture this relationship, to nurture my marriage, to nurture romance, to nurture intimacy. And,
that's right.
And all of that, instead of always spending our time looking at those places where, that are not right.
And sometimes we just need to offer a pass. You know what I mean?
We
want a free pass.
Get out of jail card, right?
That's right. Get out of the jail of my unmet expectations. We don't want to give a pass. So, man, that's a great place to start.
And we're going to run out of time here, but again, the last thing that we talk about when it comes to the dive or to the place of the I do's and then downhill is that there are places that we're not prioritizing and we're not intentional about.
And you will hear us use that word over and over again, being intentional. And that's just making a habit out of some things that you just need to do to nurture, to bring health to your relationship. Just things that you need to do on purpose, right?
Yeah, I ask couples a lot of times before marriage, I say, what did you do? What happened that you fell in love with him? Or why did you fall in love with her? Usually for the ladies, it's something that was done to communicate, something that he just sent the sweetest text and, or he would buy me candy and, or
roses.
Just
diamonds.
Yeah, diamonds. I know you like that, but
forget the candy, right?
Yeah, but it's those things that were done or the intentional acts by him or by her. It can be for him. She just always looked good. She just always, she always had a smile. She always made me happy. And again, those things are things that we're not as intentional about.
That's right.
So
we just
I can't
quit
make him happy
prioritizing
all the time. But again, if you ever did, you still can.
That's right. We just quit sacrificing. When you were dating, you'd sacrifice sleep, time, money. You just wanted to be together. You wanted to have time together.
Starved to death to be with that woman.
And then, you quit sacrificing. It's more about me.
Yep.
Instead of about
Stop
him.
dating.
Oh, yeah.
Stop playing around, all that stuff. And again,
stop having fun.
It's pretty clear. The Bible says that we ought to enjoy one another. I ought to enjoy the wife of my youth and always be reminded, man, and always, again, take time to spend with each other and take time to date, to nurture your romance, to nurture.
That's right.
And again, if you did that before the I do's, we're just saying, man, let's get after the I do's. If you're married, you're a married couple out there, if you're listening, just make sure that you're working that thing, that you're working it all the time.
We use a passage in the Song of Solomon, chapter 7 at our Marriage Matters Getaways, and it just talks about how we come away, how we go away. She said we go into the hillside, and man, there are times you just need to get away, and maybe we'd love for you to come on a weekend with us at a Marriage Matters Getaway, but if you can't do that, man, just have a meal together.
Go sit in the swing. We got a swing now in our front yard.
Go sit in the swing, watch the deer. Right?
Again, we love to just go out and sit in the swing sometime. Just take time to stop, to slow down, to be intentional about our relationship. So
that's right.
All of that works, and you continue in that. And I'll make you a promise. If you'll just be intentional over this next week about
That's
2 or
right.
3 things, just intentional to nurture
Yeah.
your relationship. You're going to find yourself falling in love all over again.
That's right.
And,
Man,
hope
revelation, go do the things you first did.
Yeah.
You lost your first love. Go back, the word says, and do those first things over again. That works in marriage too. Do those first things over. Be quick to compliment.
Yep.
Be quick to appreciate. Hey, bring home some flowers. It doesn't have to be Valentine's or the birthday.
be captivated by one another. Right?
That's great.
Hey, that's going to do it for this episode.
You don't have to take a dive.
Yep. And we look forward to our next time together. Tell all your friends. We'd love for you to join us at
Tune
HomeMatters.
in with us.
And again, check the website out, HomeMatters.family.
That's right.
And follow us there as well. God bless you. See you next time.